YouTube.
All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for showing up tonight to GEG NoVA's monthly webinar for the month of June. So we're going to go ahead and get started here so that we can stay on time. It's 7:01 already. So my name is Tyler Witman. I'm an instructional technology coordinator in Arlington County. I'm the co-author of EduMatch Snapshot in Education 2018. And my co-leader, Theresa.
Hi, I'm Theresa Ducassoux. I'm a middle school band director also in Arlington, Google Innovator and trainer, and then as Tyler said, co-leader of this awesome group. We're joined tonight by Patrick Hausammann, who's an instructional technology resource teacher in Clark County, also a Google Innovator and trainer, and the founder of Unison EDU. He's going to be talking later about some Google Slides tricks that you don't want to miss. I've seen his presentations before, and they're quite awesome. So our goal tonight, we did our welcomes and introductions. We're going to talk a little bit about what this GEG NoVA is, go into some updates from Google, some little tips and tricks for some various things they have out. We'll talk about some upcoming events going on in the next few weeks and over the summer, and then we'll get to our featured guest. So we're looking forward to a good evening. So as far as what is GEG NoVA, and I'll be honest, I've heard some people say GEG NoVA and other people say GEG. I don't know which is accurate. Essentially, the Google Educator groups are the groups of educators who are there to support each other, to learn from each other, to share, collaborate, inspire, encourage, all of those things in the realm of technology in the classroom. While it is a Google Educator group, the need expands beyond just what Google has to offer. We decided to start this group last month, Tyler and I, just because we felt like it was something that was needed in this area. We have a lot of really awesome educators and a lot of people doing great things and a lot of people who I think can benefit from having this kind of group. So our thought was to form the community, to create this PLN of people, and then make sure that we're always able to learn and to grow together. We said in our kickoff meeting last month that we're better together, and Tyler and I truly believe that, and we're really excited to have this group. So anyone who's watching live, definitely feel free to check out our slides. Tyler just shared it in the chat, and feel free to throw in questions at any time, things you want us to clarify, things you want us to expand upon, and we'll try to get to that.
All right, so Theresa talked a lot about the fact that we're trying to build a community with this group. With that in mind, in the slides is a link to join our Google group where it essentially functions as both a discussion board and kind of like a listserv. So if you're on the web and you're on the Google group, you can post to it and read it as a discussion board. You can also decide to receive email updates from that discussion board, and it'll function as a listserv. If you're looking to ask a question or to share some resources, you can email it directly to gegnova@googlegroups.com. And it'll send it to everyone in the group from there.
Yeah,
We're also,
sorry, I was gonna say, use the group as both a place to share things that you found or to ask questions. And most likely there's somebody out there who is trying something that you want to try, or can learn for something you just discovered.
Absolutely. So with the building community in mind, we're also selling t-shirts. With our logo on the front. In the slides is a link to that t-shirt order, which does close tomorrow night at midnight. So be sure to get that order in. And then finally, at the bottom of the slide is a link to share a topic that you're interested in sharing with the community. Patrick is here tonight to share with us about Google Slides and his tips and tricks and things that you might not have heard of before. And so we'd love to hear from you about what you might have to share with the community for future webinars.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so what's new with Google? If you've never seen the Google keyword blog, it's a great thing to check out. They have blog posts, I mean, almost daily on a whole different amount of Google things, some of which are applicable to educators, some of which aren't, but it's a great place and a great source to find out what's new and going on with Google. So I'm going to talk about a couple of those right now, but first I'm going to go out of present mode. So there's a couple different things that have come new with Gmail that I'm going to show you. So first disclaimer is you cannot judge my inbox. I am putting myself out there and I'm going to show you my inbox. This is a judgment-free zone when it comes to that inbox. But I do want to share some of these features and also just some little tips and tricks for making your Gmail as efficient, effective, and just productive as it can be. So the first thing that's a pretty new thing as far as Gmail goes is the ability for you to edit a calendar event directly from this Gmail window. So when you're in your Gmail, there's this side panel over on the right that has a teeny tiny little calendar, keep icon, and tasks. We'll come back to those in a minute. From the calendar, you can actually open up a calendar and edit events right there without ever having to leave the window, which is a really nice feature. So if you're reading an email and you see, oh, this time has changed, just go right over into the calendar. You can change that time or you can add an event. You can do whatever you need to right here in that little side panel. So that's a nice new feature. I believe they started rolling it out about last week, and the idea is that it should be rolled out to all of the domains probably by the end of the month. Now, however, if your school domain, a lot of times those things take a little bit more time to get rolled out. So just be aware, you might not see it in your school Gmail as quickly as you will see it in your personal. So some other things that you can do here in Gmail that are either new-ish or just not quite as known is the ability to create an event directly from an email. So I'm going to open up just a random email. Let's say this email comes through and it's something that I want to create an event for. I can go up to the three little dots at the top, the more. I've heard everything from the kebab to the snowman and the meatball sandwich. Click on that more and you can create an event right there from that email, and it'll include the information that's found in the email. When you click on create an event, it'll take you over to your calendar, and you can go ahead and put all the details needed into that event, including inviting any guests, people who might need to join that meeting with you, whether it's a reminder, whatever it may be. You can do that directly from your email, which is really nice. Other things that you can do right here in Gmail is you can turn an email into a task. As I mentioned over here on this side panel on the right, you have your calendar, your keep, and then tasks at the bottom. I feel like tasks is an underutilized tool over there, but you can turn an email directly into a task. So if I'm talking about the second email down here, I go up to the top, there's a little add to tasks button, and that's going to bring that over and add it to my tasks. So now I have that email is now basically it's on my to-do list. If I want to go further in editing it, I can add a date and a time to it, which will also add that task to my calendar. So again, we're taking something directly from an email, putting it into a to-do list, into that task. Another way to do that is just simply to drag it over to your task panel and it'll drop it right in. When you've completed the task, mark it as complete, and away it goes. So just another kind of nice thing that you can do here in your Gmail. From my compose menu, if you have not yet tried to schedule an email, that's a wonderful feature as well. There's a lot of times that I will say, oh, I need to email this person tomorrow, but I know that there's no way I'm going to remember to do it tomorrow. I'll compose the email right now, and then I will go down here to the schedule send options, and you can pick well, I have to tell who I'm emailing, but you can pick pretty much any time that you want that email to send. Actually, I just remembered this. So last summer when I was at the Innovator Academy, they made us write an email to ourselves and schedule send it a year later. So that's kind of another little way to use that schedule send thing if you want to email yourself something at a later date. All right, a couple more things that you may or may not know. One thing that's I'm hearing a lot more about these days is the idea of InboxZero, and you can clearly see that that is not something I have achieved, although it is one of my goals. InboxZero is the idea that your inbox is at zero. You use folders to keep things organized and to really just keep as productive as you can for things. A lot of that has to do with, again, the folders and archiving things that you don't need anymore. There is now a way that you can automatically send and archive an email. To do that, you'll need to go over to your settings, and we're going to go into the general settings of our Gmail. I'm going to scroll down to, where did it go? Sorry. Thank you for being patient. So, oh, there it is, send and archive. We're going to find send and archive, and we're going to click show send and archive. So that's enabling us to use that feature. I am going to save my changes. Now I'm back here in my inbox. So if I'm reading an email, and let's say I want to reply to it, I can type my reply. I can now send and archive that. So what it's going to do is it's going to take both the original email and my reply, and it's going to put that into a different folder. The folder is called All Mail, and that gets that out of your inbox. It doesn't delete it. It's just being archived. So you're still going to have access to it, but it won't be right there in your inbox. One of the nice things about archiving is when somebody replies to you, it'll come back to your inbox. So you'll get it back there again. It's gonna, it's not gone forever. You know, it's not something that you can't find, but you'll be able to get back to that at a later time. The final thing that I want to just kind of show you and remind you of is the idea of snoozing an email. If an email comes in and you don't feel like dealing with it right now, over on the right-hand side, you can snooze that email and have it come back into your inbox at whatever time you pick. So if you want to deal with it tomorrow morning, send it to tomorrow morning. If you don't need to deal with it for another month, have it come back to you in a month. That way it's not cluttering up your inbox. You're not having to worry about forgetting about it. It'll come back at a time that you're ready to use it. And again, I think that's another thing that for InboxZero is really popular and is really helpful. If anybody out there is interested in learning more about InboxZero, we definitely have some friends who I'm noticing are with us now who are much more knowledgeable on that subject. So if that was something that you were interested in, please let us know. We could probably convince them to do a tutorial someday. I think I definitely need it so I can get my inbox under control this summer. So those are just some Gmail tricks. As I said, a lot of the stuff that I learned comes from the Google blog, which many of those tips we just talked about came from there. So that's something that I recommend you also check out. All right, Tyler, take it away with the ReadAlong app. Tyler, do you want
Absolutely, yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about the ReadAlong app for Android. It's a new app that's being rolled out by Google. The main idea behind it is that we're really looking to kind of bridge the gap for students who may need some extra reading help at home, but don't necessarily have the support that they might need to be able to do that. And so the idea behind ReadAlong is that students would read there's over 500 stories available in the app for them to read. And the idea is that they would read these stories to an in-app buddy named Dia. And Dia is a special buddy because she's able to help them with their fluency, with their pronunciation, and their vocabulary skills. Say, for instance, a student might get the pronunciation of a word wrong, or they might be stuttering a bit or not quite sure how to read it, she can help them by sounding it out or pronouncing it for them, and then asking them to repeat it back to her for clarity. Another great thing that's featured in the app is some word games to build that fluency and those vocabulary. And the motivation for students is built right into the app with both stars and badges that students can earn along the way as they read more and more. Dia also can help them with making sure that they are getting frequent and monitored reading by reminding them to read often throughout the day and throughout the month, and giving you reminders to read. Parents can also set up multiple accounts for multiple students so that each different student is earning stars and badges on their own, and you can monitor their progress individually. The app is based on Google's text-to-speech and voice recognition that analyzes the student's reading and then converts it for Dia to be able to help them with it. There is some great reading there linked in the slides. The actual title of the app is linked to the Google Play Store. And then the 90-second overview is from Google for Education's YouTube link.
That sounds awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
No worries.
Excited. All right, so some upcoming events. The Global GEG, who I noticed we have some representatives there in the chat, they are offering a level 1 boot camp currently for teachers who are hoping to earn their Google level 1 certification. Tomorrow is the session, session 2 of the level 1 boot camp, but you can find session 1 on their YouTube channel. And then next Friday is session 3. So I got to attend last Friday, the session 1, and it was awesome. So much really, really great information. And it's one of those things that I feel like every time I do any kind of Google training, I learn something new. Like no matter what it is, I always gather some little nuggets of information. So even if you're already level 1 certified, check it out because you'll get some really great information. They are planning to do a level 2 bootcamp in July, and there's a link there to the website so you can get some updates. Also, they have a global staff room that is Sundays 3 p.m. and Mondays 9 a.m. Those are Eastern times. There's also one on Thursday, but I'm pretty sure we are asleep, or at least we should be asleep during that time. The Google Innovator Program is doing a virtual Innovator Academy this year because of obviously world events. So those applications are due on July 10th if it's something you're interested in. You do have to be at least level 2 certified to apply for the Innovator Program. And you need to have a challenge in mind, something that you are passionate about, that you see as a challenge in education that you want to work on solving. Those of us who've gone through the Innovator Program, we tend to push other people that way just because it had such an amazing impact on us. Like I know I can say that it really changed, I don't want to say changed who I am as an educator, but maybe developed who I have become as an educator. And so we can't recommend that kind of stuff enough. Just the process of the application even is a growth experience. So even if you're not interested in applying, check out the application and kind of put yourself through that as an exercise of thinking about this challenge and thinking about all of the different things that would go into potentially solving that challenge. So it's worthwhile. Tyler, you want to mention something about the virtual?
Sure, absolutely. So VISTE, if you're not aware, is the Virginia Society for Technology and Education, and it's our local state affiliate for ISTE. And this July, they're hosting a virtual VISTE playground in partnership with Unison EDU, which is the nonprofit that Patrick is here from. And he'll be able to talk more about Unison in a little bit in his intro. But also, the idea behind the virtual playground is that we're trying to, or VISTE, I should say, is trying to collect resources for teachers to be able to use For beyond July, but just to kind of build a library full of resources and presentations and videos that we could look back on anytime we might need some help. And they're inviting people to create collections of resources with friends and colleagues or different organizations they might be involved in to try and build up that resource for everyone. On July 21st and 22nd, they'll also have live presentations from various partners, and people have submitted presentations. Awesome. And the link that's there goes directly to the conference website.
Cool. So lots of really good things coming up. All right. Now is the time where we're going to turn it over to our guest for the evening, Patrick Hausammann. He's going to talk to us about all the things you didn't know Google Slides. Here again, put any questions you might have in the chat, and we can do our best to get to them.
Awesome. If you guys can go ahead and swap it to my screen. So it's great to be here with you guys tonight. As they said, I am Patrick Hausammann. I am an instructional technology resource teacher and supervisor of instructional technology in Clark County, Virginia, which, if you're not familiar, is about as far up as you can go in the state of Virginia. We border West Virginia. In the center of the slide, you're going to see a bit.ly link. That bit.ly link will get you to the entire slide deck. I'm going to pick and choose different slides from within the deck as we go through. So don't think when you get to it and see all the slides that, oh my God, he's going to talk about all of this. I'm not going to try and squeeze all that into 20 or 30 minutes. But if you put that slide deck in, you'll be able to get to everything, and that will allow you then to go through at your own pace and kind of click around wherever you want to go. There's also some fun things linked on that first slide if you want to play around with it. And the first tip, I'll actually stay on this slide for. You'll notice at the top, it says ask a question, and it gives you a small link that you can type in. That actually is using the presenter Q&A mode, which you'll see come up on your screen here in just a second. It's a different way to present than just hitting the present button, and I'll show you that in a moment. But this is a screen of what it will look like when you're running it as a presenter, and it will be something more that as the questions come in, you would see them on your screen and be able to answer them. You'll then be able to go ahead and upvote them if people are asking questions. And I think it might not be working for you, so let me jump to a different slide deck here for a second, and I'll show you. Oh, there we go. Okay. So you'll notice you have a question panel there for you. And to start that, in the present menu in my slide deck, right next to where the present button is, I'm going to look for that downward arrow, and you're going to notice one here that says presenter view with Q&A. That presenter view with Q&A is what brings up this screen that'll allow you to see the questions that people are putting in. And that's something that works particularly well if you have more than one screen. I'm just working off of my laptop, so I only have one screen. So that's why I minimize it and bring it up and down. But that's the first really good tip as far as when you're presenting. Use that Q&A feature when it fits. Obviously, if you're teaching a class of students, it's a great thing to bring up so that they can ask questions in the background, and kids that have the same question can upvote that question as well. Something else I'll point out while I'm on this screen, down at the bottom in the present ribbon, you're going to see closed captions. And if I turn on that closed caption, it's going to first ask if it can use your microphone. Once you tell it yes, you'll notice you start to get closed captions live on your screen. And it's going to pick up fairly well everything that I say through the microphone. And obviously, the better the microphone, the better it's probably going to do picking things up. You'll also notice on the closed caption, right next to it, I have a small caret. That will allow me to change the position of the text as far as the closed captioning to the top or the bottom. It'll also allow you to change the size of that text. A couple of things to note with that captioning is the fact that it's not going to let you change the language. That's one of the biggest request features, that it would allow you to do that and translate it as you go through. And then it also doesn't give you any more customization than those things that you see as far as size and position of it. So those are a couple tips right there, right off the bat before we even jump into the slide deck. And to give you a little more information about me, my website is there. It's phasedu.com. And to show you that briefly, I'm on the resource tab of the website. You'll see the slide deck for tonight at the top there for you. And then you'll also see a folder at the bottom that gives you pretty much every slide deck I've ever done. So they're all open for you to get into, bookmark those. Most of them I just update, so don't feel like you need to make a copy, but by all means feel like you can. Just leave some attribution on there for me if you would. And as Tyler and Theresa noted, I am the founder of Unison EDU, which is a nonprofit found at unisonedu.org. And our mission is to provide world-class support to all educators in need. That may be districts, that may be schools, that may be individual educators that can come to our website there at unisonedu.org, hit that help form, and we will reach out with anybody on the team whose expertise lines up. We have a district level administrator, we have some building level administrators, and we have regular classroom teachers, a lot of tech coaches, and we are really looking to grow too. We're looking to grow with a lot more diversity as well in our team. So if you're watching this, you're in the state of Virginia or even outside of it, and you feel like you want to help other educators and you have the time to do so, reach out to us. I would love to talk to you more about the mission of Unison and helping us get that going forward even. You'll also see on your screen a number of different badges. As I noted, I am a certified innovator and a certified trainer. I am also an ambassador for WeVideo, Nearpod, and Wakelet. And all of the badges on there really serve two purposes for me. Number one is to show you that when I speak to you on different things like this, I'm coming from a place of experience. But the second fold reason is I want you to look at any of those badges, and if you think, I really want to look into that, that's something I really want to do, I want you to know you can reach out to me anytime. My email is on the screen. My Twitter handle is there as well. Reach out to me anytime, and I will help you work through the process that I did, and hopefully for some of them, maybe make it a little better, because I didn't necessarily get them all in the first try. But please reach out, whether it's one of these or a question about the slide deck. It doesn't have to be a little bit from now. It could be years from now. Reach out. I'm happy to help out. A couple quick shout outs I want to do to organizations that I work with and ones that have helped me get here. Unison EDU and the great team that I work with there. I couldn't be more thankful for all the stuff that you guys do. I'm also a board member of VISTI, doing a lot of great things for EdTech in the state. Part of Sons of Technology with a lot of great guys and women that are part of that group that are really believing in propelling meaningful technology use forward and really helping educators to do so. And of course, Global GEG, which I got to be part of helping lead some events and part of the boot camp recently. An awesome group of people. And if you can find the thread from yesterday, people are really opening up, and it just shows you part of Wellness Wednesday, how much that group is kind of like a family. So definitely check out all of those groups. And of course, last but not least, Clark County Schools is what helped me really get better with my skills and get me to where I am. So definitely a shout out to all the great educators I work with there. So within the slide deck, and we're going to bounce in and out of the slide deck. I'm not going to stay in here for most of it, but it's divided into two parts if you want to kind of explore it your own. The first section of that is general awesomeness. And each one of the sections has a table of contents. If you scroll down through the slide deck a little bit, you're going to see that it also has another section that is kind of more high level, more advanced things in slides. And that's also going to have a table of contents for you to go down through. So by all means, you can stay with me. But if you want to start exploring and kind of go through things and you want to jump down to slide 21 and really jump right into the next level sweetness, by all means, feel free to jump in and explore at your own pace and explore the things that you want to explore. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and go to one of the first things that I always point out when I do anything Google Slides, and that is the ability to do custom slide sizes. I've used Google Slides to design, obviously, slide decks, but I've also designed full-size 24 by 36 inch posters. And changing the slide size is super easy. You just go into the file menu, go to page setup, and mine, because my computer is widescreen, defaults to widescreen. I would just go down here to custom, and you can see the current aspect is 10 by 5.63. I could just go into that and say, I want it to be 8 by 11.5. And that's going to give me, it's going to change me to portrait when I type it in that way, but it's going to give me something that is exactly a sheet of paper. And you can see it tries to reformat some of the pictures and resize the text. It does a decent job, but you will probably have to tweak some things if you change the size and it's not the right one. But that's one of the biggest things I usually recommend and point out first, because things like newsletters and other things along those lines, I always push people into slides versus using Google Docs. It is way easier to put images where you want, put text where you want. And since you're in slides, you could even throw an image in there if it was something that you were going to push out digitally and they would be able to click and watch it. Side note of, if you are going to print some in that aspect too, make sure you put the actual written out link underneath, or put a shortened link so people that get a hard copy can type that link in and go to it as well. So some other ones that I want to point out here, and we will move fairly quick, but Tyler is in the chat, and I've given Tyler and Theresa full rights or privileges, if you will, to interrupt me at any time. So if you have questions, please feel free to launch them into the chat, and they will flag me down as we go through. But the next thing I want to point out, we're going to jump all the way down to slide 10. So on slide 10, you're going to find custom cropping and text boxes. And one of the biggest things I like to do there is, with any image that you see, and I'll just jump down to this slide that is a thing with my family. And you'll notice this picture from our wedding. When I click on it, that picture was originally a square. And it now has nice, easily rounded edges. It's just a little more visually appealing. And you can see that I have the crop button here. If I look right to the right of that, I have the crop button as well, but it allows me to crop in a ton of different shapes with one click. So that image came in and it was regular rectangle like most pictures. I came in and just clicked that rounded edges. But you can see you have all of these different options, and your picture can easily be cropped into any one of those. Not that you would want to, but if you wanted that picture to be an arrow, you could click that, and within a click, that picture is now in that shape that you want. A really simple way to kind of customize an image. Another thing that you can do, and this is also on slide 10, you're going to see format options up here right in my ribbon. If I click on that, I get a ton of different options, from sizing to recoloring to different adjustments, which will allow you to play with transparency and all of these different things that you can play with. We won't go into all of those, but please explore them when you can. You're going to see drop shadow, and that is, with one click, it gives you a little bit more depth, and you may see it a little more if I go back to the slide deck. You'll notice my titles here that say custom cropping and text boxes. They have that white backdrop behind them, and that was done by going into the drop shadow and then expanding the caret next to it and changing the color. So you can set it to any of these colors, or you could custom code that drop shadow color if you want. And then you'll notice you can actually make it more or less transparent, and you can expand the distance to it as well. So you can really play with that to give your images a decent amount of depth and kind of help them pop off that page. So as we come down through, and we're not going to hit on all of these, but you can see there's a bunch of different things throughout this slide deck. We skipped over word art, but if you are a lover of Microsoft things, you will see word art there, and you can go through any of those at any time. But we're going to go ahead and jump to custom backgrounds, which is the one that says gradient backgrounds. So you'll see there's a bunch of different options down the side. Changing the background is really simple within slides. If I right click anywhere on a slide, I'm going to get the change background option. And then you have color. You also have images. So something I'll touch on briefly here in just a few minutes. If you wanted to make like a worksheet or something in Google Slides, one of the biggest recommendations is to make that background or the part you don't want students to move an image, and then use this choose image to bring that image in as the background, and that'll allow it so that they can move the things you want, but the background itself will not be moved. And while I'm here, I'm also going to point out the fact that you can do a Google image search right within the insert background side and bring in an image that way to serve as your background as well. The other one I wanted to point out is if I click on color, obviously we have all the different solid backgrounds that are here, but I also have the option to do gradient. And one of the things I like to show students so they can kind of explore their creativity side, and obviously adults and teachers as well, you can come down to the bottom and click on custom, and you can custom set whether you want it to be a linear gradient, a radiant, or radial gradient. You can choose the angle. And one of the things I always like to do, you can also add in more markers or more color codes. So if I click that twice, I'll add in 2 more. The one that I select will be blue. I can then click that and choose different colors to bring into that gradient. And not by any means it's a pretty one, but it's showing you how that background would look. And then if I wanted to apply that, I would just hit OK and done, and you'll see that I have that gradient down that side. You don't see it over here because part of that background is changed in the master slide, so it's not going to let you see all of those changes. But the big thing pointing out there is when you can explore a lot of the different menus that you see in slides and really play with it. Some of those different things like that custom button, students stop at some of the colors right above that and don't dig that little bit deeper. Take the time and try and dig into those things a little bit more so that you can see some of those bigger features, some of those more in-depth features that really show you some of the different things that slides can do. So now we're going to jump towards the deeper end of slides. And Tyler and Theresa, please interrupt me if you see some questions flying in the chat at all. I will keep rolling on through if you guys don't flag me down. But on slide 20 is where next level sweetness, the header is. And then if you click onto slide 21, you're going to see the slide for next level sweetness. So these are things that are above changing your font. It's not going to be the custom cropping, things like that. This is where you're going to get into some of the really cool things that you can create within the world of slides. So we're going to jump around a little bit here, but please, again, feel free to navigate through and go to any slides you want. It should be in your chat as far as the link from before. You'll also see it in the bottom of my slide deck as well, so you can check those different things out as well. So the first thing that we're going to jump to is slide 26, and that's going to be social media templates. So if I jump over to that slide deck that I pre-opened for us to try and save some time, you'll see that slide deck is split into a range of different social media tools that are popular with different age groups. So obviously Facebook is probably going to dip back the furthest, but each one of these is going to give you links to different social media templates that you can just make a copy of and use. It may give you some actual websites. For instance, this Snap SR is a website that imitates Snapchat. It's not within the Google Slides interface itself, but you'll see things for Instagram as well. Twitter was on here. You'll also see TikTok. And just to bring that up for you briefly to show you what one of those links looks like, most all of those websites, I've tried to link you to a blog post or something along those lines where it's going to show you what it looks like. So you can see here's a brief idea of what that template is going to look like in slides. But then right here at the bottom, it's also going to give me the button to go ahead and make a copy of that template so that you're off and running not only with the wording of how to make it happen. This one even gives you, and this is, if you've not seen it, ditch that textbook from Matt Miller. It gives you not only what it is, how to do it, but it'll show you how to hand it out as well. And just to look at that template briefly, you can see here Matt has given us all the information on how we might do it. and then the template that we can customize before we push out to our students. So there's a ton of different things on there for you. And again, that's just one of the slides as far as recreating some social media things. As we come down through, we're going to keep rolling down through a lot of these, and you'll see some of these I'm not going to touch on, but infographics is something you can do with slides. Stop motion animation, along if you couple that with something like Screencastify, is really easy and possible. Things like choose your own adventure stories. And then I'm going to pause on this one for a second, and it is the story starters. The one that I'm going to point out is the Build a Turkey, the one on the right. We also see there is a Build a Snowman one, and there's a bonus link to Comics with Google Slides as well. But if we jump over to the Build a Turkey side, you can see somebody has designed this really nicely for us. We have directions, and then on the slide, we just have the turkey body and a blank text box. And then we have another text box on the slide that'll let us type some more information. If we come down through, they have stockpiled some different manipulatives for us. So we could come into this and basically just copy and paste the different feathers we would want, the different beaks we would want, the different eyes we would want, and essentially design our own turkey. And one of the mixes that one of our teachers did with this that I really liked was she had her second grade students come in and not only build their turkey and practice skills of copy and paste, things along those lines, but they also then had to use the text box to try and persuade people not to eat their turkey. So that template is there for you, and I would love it if you guys wanted to jump into that template and then later on send a tweet out with your finished turkey creation, as well as your justification as to why we should not think about eating your turkey. And you can go to the file menu, go to download, and do JPEG or PNG, and save that down, tweet it out to GEG NoVA. Go ahead and tag GEG Global in that as well so we can see the awesome things that you create. Feel free to do that with the social media templates as well. Don't feel like you're locked into the Build a Turkey, but think about those different things as far as how they can work on maybe some design skills, but also how they may be able to take that up a notch and work in some writing and things as well. One of the other ones that I'll point out here as we go through, things like magnetic poetry are also really nice and powerful in the slides interface, and something that they utilize that the Turkey Story Starter did not is as I scroll down, you'll see that the Halloween template, for instance, stockpiles the words on the very bottom. Some of them will stockpile the words off to the right-hand side. And what I mean by that is, if I close my format options here, you can stockpile icons and things in this gray space off to the right, and that will never show up when something is presented, but it will be there for your students to be able to use as an interactive to manipulate and play with. So use all the real estate that you have available for you in slides. It can make a big difference and really give you that little bit more space that you need. So as we kind of round the backside here and come into a few more things, one of the ones I wanted to highlight was creating different interactive pieces within slides itself. So I'm going to go ahead and close at least a couple of these tabs, but on this, you'll see 6 different things that you can get to, and then some more bonus ones as well. So if you're thinking about how to create a drag and drop activity, you'll see a link here that comes from Casey Bell on Shake Up Learning, and she will walk you through step by step how you can create an easy to work with interactive for students to use. You'll also see 30 interactive Google Sites activities that comes from Matt Miller and Ditch That Textbook. So as we scroll down through, and we'll just look really briefly at this tab here, but here's 30 different activities that you can do fairly easily in slides that give you some sort of interactive component. So obviously a Jeopardy game would give you that. Creating an app or making memes will give you that. And up on the title slide for this section, you're going to see a link to this meme slide deck which shows you some memes that have been created, some different uses for memes, as well as how to make them in slides. And if nothing else, you can kind of scroll through that and get a little laugh. If nothing else comes your way, hopefully you'll chuckle from that. But go ahead and check out that link from Matt Miller. So not only will that give you the 30 different things, but again, anything I link in, I'm trying to give you not only all the different things you can do, but also how do you actually make those things happen. So right underneath that, you'll see a link to a video that shows you how to turn a PDF into interactive Google Slides. So you might have a worksheet that you used to use, and you really want to make that work for remote learning and have the students do more than just read and maybe write it off on a piece of paper. That video will walk you through within a few minutes how to make that PDF the background and then how to overlay some text boxes to make that interactive. One thing that I'll tell you as a side note to that is think about the size of it when you make it. You may have to cut that worksheet in half and put half on one side, half on the other side, so those text box spots and places they're supposed to drag and drop things are big enough for the students to work with them easily. A couple of the last things I'll point out here are Nearpod, which you're going to see here in the blue. And when you get to the slide deck, each one of these icons is going to be linked. So if you did not know, Nearpod has an add-on for Google Slides that'll help you make slide decks even more interactive than they would be with your text, images, videos, things like that. And any of your add-ons are going to be accessible through the add-ons menu at the top. And you can see I have Nearpod, and I'll go ahead and touch on it here. Pear Deck is on that slide as well. Both of these do similar things, but they are a little bit different. And they are both freemium, and I use that term to mean you get some features for free, and some of them you end up needing to pay for. And if you check out on Twitter, Jake Miller, who is at Jake Miller Tech, has a nice image circulating today that lets you know what you get for the free versus the paid. But you can see if I wanted to, I could add in slides that add any of this functionality you see in my sidebar. A Collaborate board is kind of like a Padlet where you can post different notes. Draw It lets you draw like a scene. You have a virtual field trip option, fill in the blank. You can link in a Flipgrid, things like Desmos, matching pairs, open-ended, all kinds of different things, including quizzes and polls. And I'm not going to go through all of those, but that slide is linked to this page that'll give you all of the information on how it works. And I am a Nearpod pioneer, so I can help you with any of those things. So if you look at that and you think, oh, I really like the look of Nearpod, I want to check that out, definitely send me a line, we'll connect up, and I can help you with that. The other one is Pear Deck, and you can see it opens in the sidebar just like Nearpod and gives you all of these different interactives that you can put in. So if nothing else, like I said before, explore some of the different things as you go through slides. You're going to find hopefully a lot of things you didn't know were there and get some cool things. And these interactives can be used fairly nicely in stations. And I'll go ahead and go to the next slide as I get ready to wrap up here and show you another thing in something fairly recent with remote learning is the concept of interactive classrooms. And I built this slide out to give you a few different links as far as how to make those. And it's also going to give you a few different videos. So if I go through the tabs here at the top a little bit, one of those that I definitely want to point out comes from the GEG down in Global GEG did it, and it's also connected to, I believe, GEG in South Louisiana. So they did a recent session on how to make these interactive classrooms, and they did it within Google Slides. So that is the link that you're going to see at the very top here. So check that out if you have any questions on how it works. And of course, they'll walk you through a little bit too on some of these, how you actually do Bitmojis if you haven't done that yet as well. So know that that is possible in slides, and it's not that hard to do. And to get some of these different things out, if you didn't want to put it into Classroom, I made you a slide here on how to hack the URL a little bit, which gives you a screen that looks just like this. This actually started as a Google drawing, but you'll notice down here at the bottom, this link is live, so I just have to click it once. I'm not in that editing interface, and I don't have to do any kind of magic to make it happen. I just click it once and I'm taken straight out to that page. And again, these directions that you see down the side will walk you through how to make that happen with any Google file to make it that preview. And just a couple last slides to mention here. If you're looking at some great ways to do differentiation with slides, hyperdocs and choice boards are my two major go-tos for that. And you have a ton of different links here to show you how to make that happen. There's also a link down here at the bottom that you're going to see as far as what are some different ways that you differentiate. And that's going to link you to a Jamboard that has 10 different pages open for you right now that you can jump into and populate as many ideas as you can think of as far as how can you differentiate slides, but also outside of slides. What are some of your go-to tools and go-to ways that you differentiate when you're looking at slides, or again, looking at different apps and things as well. As we come down through the bottom, you're going to see a few more slides here of great things you can do. Yearbooks, making your own apps, game show templates, some magic that you can do with slides, some template websites that do some really awesome things. The two that I'll point out are the two right there at the top. Slides Mania has been doing some awesome templates, especially on their education tab. Obviously, there's good stuff on the other ones, but they've been really receptive to educators' feedback out on Twitter. And all of these are open for you to just click, make a copy, and run with. The second one is Slides Carnival, which doesn't, that I've been able to find, have an education tab, but they have tons of different templates here that are, again, you can make a copy using the slides. If you're using PowerPoint, you can download them and run with them that way as well. So some great ways to get some really good stuff quick that you can run with. And just in case that wasn't quite enough, there's just a couple bonus slides. And the top tips that I'll say as far as things I recommend: utilize custom slide sizes and explore how powerful different things are that you can do as far as those custom cropping, those format options. One of the ones I didn't touch on was setting when a YouTube video plays. You can set when it starts and when it ends, so you can custom crop a section out. And remember, when you put YouTube videos into slides, it also knocks out all of those advertisements as well. Play with custom backgrounds, and connected to that is going to be your different activities that you can make that are drag and drop that make sure that background, that part you don't want to move, is put back where they can't get to. Explore, and again, I've touched on this a lot, not only explore the different parts in slides, but also make sure you check out this little guy that hides at the bottom, which is the Explore tool that'll help you with a range of different things, from layout to adding text, adding images, a bunch of cool things that you can do there. And last but not least, think outside the box. If nothing else from this presentation, if I can leave you with just not thinking slides is only presentations, I've at least done something good there. Slides is so much more than just a presentation. And as we've seen this graphic a lot of times, the magic usually happens outside of that box. So think crazy, do tons of different fonts, let your students explore the different things, and really play with it to see all the cool stuff that is out there. There's a bunch more resources in the tail end of the presentation for you to check out. And I'm going to end here on this slide, giving another shout out to the Global GEG and the boot camp that is hitting day 2 tomorrow. And conveniently enough, slides is on the docket for tomorrow. So hopefully I will see you in the chat at the Global GEG. And in case you missed them, I will bring up one more picture for you to check out. It's one of my favorite memes I found throughout this year. And I think of it every time I think of some people that are maybe a little hesitant about tech tools as far as, do I really want to try this or not? And they think, oh, this looks really cool. I could use this. It can't be bad. And then you get that splash at the end. But hopefully, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to GEG NoVA. You can reach out to Global GEG. And one of us is going to be there to help pull you out and help you get that tool working with your kids doing amazing things. So with that, I will go ahead, and if Tyler, you want to come back up and you're there, awesome. We
Definitely.
Can go ahead
All
and
right.
stop sharing my screen if you want. And if we have questions.
Absolutely. I think we were, you covered so much already, honestly. I think we were able to get through most of the questions. I want to thank you again for being here tonight with us and being able to share with us so many great resources and great tips on Google Slides. And I want to make sure that everybody gets back to Twitter or somewhere and tries out your turkey challenge. I love that one. And make sure you just tag us so we can all see and share in those great images. I also want to just throw a shout out again to remind you that tomorrow night the t-shirt order does end, and tomorrow, as Patrick mentioned, is the Global GEG Level 1 webinar all day, basically.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. As I said before, every time I learn something new. There's always like a little new nugget that I get excited to try out. In fact, sometimes I get disappointed that I don't teach ELA and I can't use like the build a snowman and the build a turkey thing, because I think they would probably think the band lady was crazy if I did that. So maybe someday I'll figure out a really unique musical twist to those, but I love them. So thank you so much for sharing. Again, make sure that you reach out to us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, share out your created memes or turkeys or whatever it is that you build as a result of what you learned today. But thanks for being here tonight. We really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody who's been over in the chat, having a great time. We love seeing your comments and all of the thoughts you had to add to that.
All right.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Have a great night, everybody.
All right. Good night, everybody.